Conor Gallagher is expected to complete his move to Atletico Madrid this week. It's another example of a club selling a homegrown player. And Enzo Moresco said last night it is a problem for everyone.
This is not Chelsea problem. This is not Chelsea problem. This is the rules problems. All the clubs in this moment, they are almost compulsory to sell players from the academy because of the rules. But it's not Chelsea problem. It's all the Premier League club problem. The intention of the club is not to sell players from the academy, but it's the rules that at the end you have to do it. But it's not also only for us. It's for all the Premier League club. And it's a shame because we all in Italy, we are, I don't know, Totti with Roma, he was 20 years with the same club. Was it one club man. I love that. We all love that in football. And the fans, they love that because they want to see them in that player. But because of the rules, probably something is now it's different from compared to the past.
Well, I don't really want to disagree with Enzo Moresco, but I'm going to, because it's not the rules. You know, there was no rule saying you have to sell your academy players. It's so that they can make their financial plan work within PSR. But it's not a rule to say that you must sell your academy players.
No, that's and you're right. That is the situation Chelsea find themselves in now. The way they've engineered, the way that they've gone about setting up and moving these players on is now making life particularly difficult for them with their own fans more than anybody else. I think Chelsea fans love to see, like all supporters do, they love to see good young players getting a chance in the team and flourishing. And they've had that. They've seen that. There's been some great, the likes of Reece James and others that have come through. It's just a little bit of a shame that some of them now, as I mentioned yesterday, Jeff, if you was a parent of a kid at a club like that are looking to often sell players to balance books, young players, good young players, you'd be concerned about it now. If you had a kid at Chelsea right now, you would.
Dean in Chichester says, Jeff, Chelsea should have sold Reece James and Chilwell, both made of glass. Both won't last the season. Anyone can see that. Let's get a little more on this with the talkSPORT reporter Ben Jacobs. Morning, Ben.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Hiya, Ben.
Yeah, good. How would the sale of Conor Gallagher be received by Chelsea fans?
Not well by Chelsea fans, and it's a strange one, isn't it? Because some academy products are popular but don't necessarily quite make the cut. Maybe Emil Smith-Rowe is a good example of that. Still popular with Arsenal fans, but ended up moving to Fulham. With Conor Gallagher, he was the second best player last season. And although the system and manager has changed, it was only Cole Palmer that was more consistent, and he offered leadership qualities as well. And when Chelsea beat Spurs at Stamford Bridge towards the back half of the season, there was a big banner in the shed end saying that Gallagher is Chelsea through and through, and he acknowledged that. So it won't sit well. And in addition to that, there's a little bit of mixed messaging, I suppose, because on the one hand, Chelsea sources indicate to talkSPORT that they're quite confident in their finances. On the other hand, they're selling Gallagher for pure profit. Chelsea would argue it's because he's got less than 2 years of his contract, only 1 year, in fact, and that's their overall policy. But if we're being a little bit more cynical or going a bit deeper, you would look at Samu, who might go the other way, and potentially Julian Alvarez factored into this from Manchester City to Atletico Madrid. And it does sort of feel like Chelsea have sold Gallagher to Atleti for 40 million euros, but they wanted 60 million. Yeah. And then Samu is suddenly not 60 million euros, but only 40 million euros. And Atleti need that 40 million euros to fund Julian Alvarez. So suddenly everything is tied together. And that lends itself towards a narrative that Gallagher needs to go, not just because Chelsea don't think that he's good enough, but because he ties into that bigger picture.
Yeah. Ben, also difficult for Enzo Moresco in the sense of that he's a young coach thrust into a big club at a time when they're going through this transformation really with new owners. Very, very difficult for him to almost have to sit there as an apologist for club policy now in a lot of the interviews that I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think we can point to his style being different to Mauricio Pochettino, but we don't know definitively how Gallagher would fit in that style. So it's all very well saying he's not as good a fit as others, but he's an adaptable player. He's still young. He offers leadership qualities. He's popular in the dressing room, and I'm sure many of the fan base would argue that. From Chelsea's perspective, though, they would probably point more to the fact that if you look at deeper midfield in this 4-3-3, you've got Enzo, Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, Leslie Ukwuchukwu. If you look at the number 8, then it could be Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall instead of Conor Gallagher. Gallagher, but maybe Christopher Nkunku, maybe Cole Palmer, you've got Carney Chukwuemeka, you've got Esteval Willian arriving in a year's time. So there is a lot of competition. And that's why I suppose if Gallagher doesn't renew, then Chelsea feel that the priority strategically, if they're being really cutthroat, is to cash in rather than lose a player on a free transfer that they may feel has a diminished role in the squad in the season to come.
I'm not sure, Ben, that Enzo Moresco is being helped, though, by the club's pre-season, is he? He wants to impose his new style on Chelsea, yet he's being asked to do it against teams like Manchester City and Real Madrid and Inter Milan. You know, it would have been helpful to the manager, wouldn't it, if they were playing some lesser opposition?
Or just had a little bit more time between games. Obviously, it's that balance between what the brand wants and where you go versus what managers want. And I think deep down, if managers were honest, they'd rather have none of us out here, not travel, be very private and be able to work very thoroughly, especially when you're implementing a new system. Chelsea have played a lot of games. They've looked okay in terms of going forwards and they've improved game on game. They're missing the likes of Cole Palmer and Marc Cucurella, who won the Euros with Spain. But when you play this often, and Enzo Moresco said this in the build-up to Real Madrid, you get training, but you don't get match prep. So therefore, you're learning on the job and you're having to prepare for the matches using a quick tactics board or video analysis, but you don't have a full week. And therefore, mistakes may creep in. And the upside for Chelsea is the fact that Christopher Nkunku's fit, so is Reece James, even though he's banned for the opening games. And if that clicks, they'll look very good going forwards and maybe also with that inverted right back. But defensively and off the ball, they've made a lot of errors and they've been defensively static. And unfortunately for Chelsea, the season might just come a few weeks too soon. And if they rock up against Manchester City competitively, regardless of the talent and how they're improving and gelling, and make the same kind of mistakes as they've made in pre-season, they'll be roundly beaten again.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.